Hello and welcome to Everyday Champions in Business, presented by Action Coach Dane County. Action Coach is the world's #1 business coaching company, and this is your opportunity to hear the stories, the tips, and the insider information that makes business and entrepreneurship the greatest game on the planet. I'm Rob Maniaci, enrollment specialist with Action Coach Dane County, and today it's my pleasure to introduce Brienne Hennessy from Your Vocal Vitality. Hi.
Hi, Rob. Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. Why don't we start out by just telling us your role with the company, how long you've been in business, any employees, just the 30,000-foot view.
Wonderful. So, I am a vocal empowerment guide, speaker trainer, and former speech and voice pathologist who spent 14 years working in voice clinics rehabilitating injured voices and speaking issues. And in 2019, I launched Your Vocal Vitality and have been since September 2020 doing this full time. So, I am grateful to still be here as a small business, and also I did have a team for a short period, about 2 years of a contracted assistant, but right now on my own.
Okay, very good. Yeah, I had someone very close to me that had like injured vocal cords,
Yeah.
so that
Yes.
hit close to home. Uh,
Yes.
Now with Your Vocal Vitality, when people ask, what do you do? How do you describe the business?
I look at this as the preventative care side of taking care of an instrument that every one of you listening probably takes for granted. And that's okay if you do, you don't mean to, but this is something where now, having worked with so many people who ended up wondering, why me, why now, what's going on with my voice, what's wrong, and not knowing where to turn. I look at now my mission as very preventative, proactive. And so what that looks like is keeping the voice healthy, full of clarity, stamina, power, reliability, and also preventative screenings for folks who are like, is something up? Is something going on? And at the same time, looking at what comes from within. When we speak and we want to speak and be heard as our truest self, that
Mm,
matters. We don't
mm,
want to sound like anyone else. We want to sound like who we truly are. So I look at it as two sides of a coin: voice health on one side
mhm.
and your inner voice or your intuition on the other side. And when those two match up, that to me is the power of our resonant message.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a super interesting. So, how does it work? Do you do like one-on-one? Do
Mm,
you do group style? Is it
yeah.
exercises? Is it
Yeah.
diet? Unpack it a little more if you could.
Absolutely. I do approach it primarily from one-on-one work. That's been the bulk of the approach and business model the past 4 years. So it can be anywhere from a month of working together very intensively in a VIP kind of style, all the way to up to 6, even 9 or 12 months, depending on the person's needs. This really comes to be important to me because I look at it holistically. So yes, there are voice exercises, kind of like you would think of with a singer, but I focus more on the speaking voice. And at the same time, we need to look at the whole person. So yes, there are some things relative to how are they taking care of themselves? What are other components, both emotional, mental, and physical, that are potentially playing a role in their voice, maybe not being optimally functioning the way that they need it to. When you think of things like business coaches, for example, that's one area where if you need your voice to do your job, you need to be at peak performance across all areas. Yeah. And so we need to kind of look at that. So one on one work has been primary, but recently this year, my focus has also included building out a course. I built out my first voice health course. And I also am building out the public speaking, getting on paid stages, and being a keynote speaker more consistently. So I've been fortunate to do some of those in the past, and now it's time to reach a broader audience in that way. And so those are the ways I'm currently kind of building up the this version of the business.
Yeah, congratulations on setting up that course. And you're leading right into the next question. What is the long-term vision? What's the company going to look like 3 to 5 years down the road?
You know what's funny about this question, Rob? This kind of reminds me of when I was in healthcare and academia, when you're sitting in the HR office and they're like, what's your 5-year vision? And at that time, I didn't like that question because I didn't really see it. I didn't think I knew. Now I enjoy that question in the sense that I see this as a mission of really reconnecting people with their true voice. And for me, that also means your self-worth, which drastically impacts your wellness, right? If you don't feel you're worthy to show up, to take care of yourself, to go after what you want, you're not going to thrive in the way you could. So I see this really as branching out both in continuing one-on-one work and broader collaborations with organizations, companies, from sales and customer service folks who use their voice all the time to leaders and executives and entrepreneurs, because those are the times where we need to be in that 30,000-foot view of protecting and taking care of ourselves while also ensuring that we are setting the example to
Mhm.
others. And coming from healthcare, to be honest, there's not actually as much preventative care as much as we would like it to be. So that's what I see as a general shift for our culture as well, where we can look at, okay, what are the different components? So I see this company as one of those many pieces in the comprehensive way of approaching wellness for people in the future.
Yeah, I love that you're really dialed into your mission,
Mm,
which makes it much easier when you decide, okay, how are we gonna deliver this?
yeah.
And it seems
Yeah.
right in that stage where you're gonna open this up to even more
Yeah.
and more opportunities. So
Yeah.
that's great. Who is your target market as
Mm,
things stand today? Who is that ideal client,
yeah.
the sweet spot that's driving your business at the moment?
Mm. I would say primarily leaders, coaches, educators, executives, those who are requiring their voice every day, day in, day out, and recognizing two things. One, that perhaps in the back of their mind, they are feeling unsure. Oh, did I say that right? Oh, I don't feel as confident when I get up to speak anymore. Or two, are seeing their own runway of, I want to be more visible. I'm gonna have to be speaking more, or I'm gonna have to be on, social media doing different things more, and video content so huge these days and all of that. So it's really people who are understanding that they need to continue to speak. And what does that look like? And yes, most often I work with women. That's partially because women also get a lot of negative feedback about how they sound, about how they're speaking, as right or wrong as that may be. And I would say then too, in this realm of building out the keynote speaking side of things, really looking to meet speaker coordinators and those who are running events. And again, seeing this bigger picture of something that I come at kind of unconventionally for wellness and speaking your truth.
Perfect. How about as a business owner, you
Mhm.
transitioned from healthcare to owning your own business.
Yeah.
What's one challenge you never anticipated and had to overcome?
Shiny object syndrome. So in that first year or two, to be honest, like 3 years, you don't know what you don't know. And that's okay. But there also needs to be some, I would wish for any new business owner, and that's one thing I would go back and shift is simplification of what the basics are. Going from a employee mind to an entrepreneur mind is very different mindset. This is, building a business is a mindset marathon. And at the
Mm,
same time, my mindset of being unsure led to a lot of over investing, I would say, instead of just dialing down deeper into the business foundation. And I think that would have probably saved me a lot of time and focus had I understood that I don't need to be grabbing at the newest thing. I need to understand how I want my business to work and what that looks like for my life.
mhm.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. That's what we're looking for there. Speaking of your life,
Yeah.
um, as an entrepreneur, you could probably work 7 days a week at this. How do you maintain that balance we all seek?
Yeah. It's interesting. Even when I was in voice clinics across the country, I would refer to it as boundaries. Actually, I don't believe that a true balance exists. I believe that the more we can set clear boundaries and they evolve with different seasons of life, the more we'll feel replenished. So for me, that can look like, because you're right, uh, setting specific times that I am, closing the laptop, stepping out of the office and not trying to come back in, and really being mindful about how much I put in a day. I feel so blessed that I can make my own schedule now, but you know the slippery slope with that probably. Like you can fit in a lot of things. So I try to be very mindful now of where I am putting certain activities, and that's made a huge difference for me.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thanks for that. Uh,
Yeah.
let's shift gears and go to some rapid fire questions.
Sure.
Brienne, I'll ask you to give us your best short, quick responses to the
Great.
following. Starting with beyond family and friends, who
Mhm.
is someone you really admire?
My grandfather, who's passed. Mhm.
Thank you. What is your key to success?
Designing a life that you love and creating it in a way that is true for you.
What's a must-read book?
Mm. You Are the Placebo by Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Thank you. What would be your advice for a new business owner?
Don't buy all the things. Find a solid, reputable mentor.
Uh, good, good, good. And then where can we find you online?
You can find me at Your Vocal Vitality on Facebook and Instagram, and then at Brienne Hennessy on LinkedIn. And my website is www.yourvocalvitality.com, where you can download one of my freebies, the top 10 ways to care for your voice today.
Excellent. Thank you. That wraps up the rapid fire questions. Two more questions to go. Is there anything you'd like to include in the form of an offer for the folks
Hmm.
watching the video?
Yes, thank you, Rob. I am currently holding 3 spots for the person who is ready to go on their own voice journey. And this can look like a 1 month container or a 6 month container, and essentially getting into speaking and voice goals for anything, whether you're preparing for your TED Talk, stage talk, whether you're building out your team, wanting to feel more comfortable as you lead. And in those 2 types of containers, we meet on a discovery call and chat about what your goals are so that you can speak with more power and presence, captivate your audience, and trust yourself and your speaking, which is, I think, the essence of showing up and sharing your message. So I'd love to speak with any of you ready to do so.
Yes, take advantage of that discovery call, and
Mm.
if it makes sense, jump on one of those 3 spots that she has available. Thanks. And then last question, here all topics are wide open. What's most inspiring to you these days?
Mm. The moments of awe and beauty, meaning slowing down enough to recognize those things that bring you joy. Being a business owner, sometimes, like you mentioned, Rob, can deplete that being in your life moment. You can kind of get too focused on hustling. And so for me, it's been inspiring to slow down and just allow myself to be in awe of the little things that bring me joy all around.
Yeah, when I think of awe, you think of big things, but it
Yes.
doesn't have to be that. It could be the,
Correct. Oh, yeah. I just got chills when you said that. Correct. That's
okay.
exactly it. Yeah.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you for sharing that. So important. And
Yeah.
thank you, Brienne, for being a guest on Everyday
Yeah.
Champions in Business. Nice job.
I appreciate you, Rob. Thank you all.
Yeah. As a thank you for your participation, we are going to send you a copy of Joe Theismann's book, How to Be a Champion Every Day,
Fabulous.
autographed by Joe. So
Fabulous.
keep an eye out for that.
Thank you.
And yeah, once again, this was great. Thank you for sharing your
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
Super interesting field of work and niche that you have, and we wish
Thank
you the
you.
very best.
Oh, thank you, Rob. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate you thinking of your person in your life. Everybody knows somebody or has dealt with something on their own with it, and it just doesn't get talked about a lot. So again, I appreciate you being a voice advocate in this way.
Yeah, you bet.
For
All right.
sure.
Thanks. We wish you the best. Have a
Thank
great
you.
rest of your
All right.
week, Ben.
You too, Rob. Bye.
Bye.